Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at the NFC East for the 2024 NFL season. We're going to look at every single team, predict their whole schedule, and yeah, just really see, who's going to make the playoffs, how these teams will finish, how they'll do this season. We'll look at the rosters, and then pick every game on their schedule. Real quick, make sure you check out all the AFC videos. I did every division in the AFC already. And yeah, we're going to do every division in the NFC as well. Not only do we do NFL content, but we also do college basketball, college football, NBA, and MLB. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you go down and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we post any videos. And like this video if you enjoy. Real quick, links in the description as always. X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Follow those, join those. With all that being said, though, let's just jump right in to the prediction. So we're going to start with the worst team in this division and work our way up. And I think the Giants are going to be the worst team in this division, unfortunately. Just when looking at the team, there's not much to get excited about. They lose Saquon. I guess Malik Neighbors, that could be something you're excited about. But another year with Daniel Jones, not too exciting there. The defense isn't great still. I mean, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, but there's not much really on this team at all. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. But Malik Neighbors definitely is something to look forward to if you're a Giants fan. Starting out week one, I think the Vikings do beat them. I could see them winning this game, actually. But I do think the Vikings beat them there. I think the Commanders will win at home. I think on the road against the Browns, that's going to be a tough game to win. I'll take the Browns. Home against the Cowboys, I did think about taking them just because it's the rivalry game, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys. They're just by far the better team here. At Seattle, that's going to be a loss, I think, just with their receivers. I don't think the Giants' defense will be able to keep up. Bengals and Eagles coming to town, that's just two very tough games, so I have them losing both those. At Pittsburgh, again, that's going to be another loss. I have them going 0-8. I have them getting some wins, but this is a pretty tough first 8 games if we're being honest. I mean, this stretch from week 4 to week 8 is really from week 3 to week 8. That's a pretty tough stretch for any team. So, but yeah, I don't think the Giants are going to win any of these games. I think they'll get their first win though, week 9 against the Commanders. I just think I don't think the Commanders are good enough to sweep them, and also the Giants are going to win some games. They're not going to go winless. I do think the Panthers beat him, though. It is on the road. I feel like Bryce Young's going to have some games where he does something. But I think coming out of the bye, they beat the Bucks just because it's coming out of the bye, And I know the Bucks are coming off a bye, too, but I think with the fact that it's at home here, I feel like the Bucks maybe just have an off day here. I think the Giants get it done. In Dallas against the Cowboys, that's going to be a loss. But I think they win home against the Saints. I think this little stretch here, I think this is where they get most of their wins. It's really not a tough stretch here from week 9 to week 14. Yeah, I think they'll beat the Saints at home, just kind of with the same reason as the Bucks. They're playing on Thursday the week before. They move. They then have to play on Sunday, so they get a little bit of an extra couple days to prepare. I think Derek Carr maybe he throws like 3 picks this game. I don't know. I think the Giants win. Home against the Ravens, that's going to be a loss. In Atlanta against the Falcons, I don't think they win that. Home against the Colts and at the Eagles, that's going to be 4 losses to finish out the year. So I have them going 3-14. And yeah, I know that's bad. I have the Patriots and the Broncos also going 3-14. So I guess they're not necessarily the worst team. I mean, they're tied for the worst team in the league. But yeah, I don't see a great season here for the Giants. I think, there's really nothing here. I mean, the RB1's Devin Singletary. Besides Malik Neighbors, there's not really anyone to throw the ball to. And, defensively, it's just a little lackluster. So I do think the Giants will get last in this division. But the team that I think will get third in this division is the Commanders. And the Commanders are a little bit more exciting than the Giants. I feel like the people are underrating the Commanders a little bit. People are saying, 4 or 5 wins. I feel like they can get more than that. Jane Daniels is exciting. I think he There was a while where I thought he would be the best quarterback in the draft class. Now I think probably it's going to be Caleb. Maybe that's because I'm biased. I don't know. But yeah, there was a good while where I thought Jaden Daniels would be the best QB out of this class. But they bring in Austin Eckler. They bring in Bobby Wagner on the defense. I think they brought in I mean, they still have Jonathan Allen there on the D line. This isn't a terrible team. The defense is actually solid. And offensively, like I said, I mean, they don't have Jahan Dotson anymore, but still got Terry McLaurin out there. I think this team will be actually pretty solid. You know, they have a pretty good running back room with Brian Robinson and Eckler. And yeah, Jaden Daniels I think is going to show a lot of flashes this year of what he can be. Starting off in week 1 though, I don't think they'll win that game on the road. Week 1, that's always tough. I think they'll beat the Giants though. Week 2, week 3 at the Bengals, that's going to be a loss, and at the Cardinals, that's going to be a loss. I think Jaden Daniels, you know, these first couple weeks, they'll start off a little bit slow, but I do think they'll beat the Browns week 5 just because it's at home here. And I feel like there's going to be some games, you know, Eckler's pretty old, but I could see a game or two where he just pops off. Same with Terry McLaurin, you know, we see that sometimes with Scary Terry. He'll just have a game where he just goes ballistic, and then just kind of returns to normal. At the Ravens, they won't win that game, but I do think they'll beat the Panthers at home. I could see him beating the Bears here, but I do think the Bears win. You know, I just think the Bears are overall the better team here. At the Giants, I do think that will be a loss. Like I said, I don't think they're good enough to sweep the Giants, but I do think they'll win at home. I just don't think they'll beat the Giants on the road. But I think they'll beat the Steelers at home. I feel like their defense can match the Steelers. They're not as good, but I feel like physical wise they can play a little bit of that style of football. At the Eagles and home against the Cowboys, those are going to be 2 losses. You know, these 2 teams are very good, you know, to say the least. Home against the Titans, I do think the Titans get them. You know, I could see the Commanders winning this game. The Commanders' schedule is actually pretty easy. So, yeah, but I do think the Titans win that game. You know, they have a lot of old, aging, you know, players kind of similar to the Commanders, I feel like, and with a young QB. So, you know, this will be an interesting little game. Will Levis versus Jaden Daniels. But coming out of the bye, they got at New Orleans. I don't think they'll win that game, unfortunately. I think the Saints get them. I could see the Commanders winning this one as well, though. But then this next 2-week stretch, I actually think the Commanders win both of these games. I think Jaden Daniels starts to kind of figure things out here at the end of the season. I think the Commanders always give the Eagles troubles for some reason. I think they'll beat the Eagles. And I feel like week 17, the Falcons will have already, you know, clinched the NFC South at this point. I kind of spoiled that. Sorry about that, but I do think the Falcons will win that division. I think they'll have already clinched it by this point. Really nothing to play for except for seeding, I guess, which they'll probably still have their starters in. But I feel like Jaden Daniels just gets it done. Week 18, though, I think the Cowboys will win that game with it being in Dallas. But yeah, that's gonna conclude the Commanders. I think they go 6-11. And yeah, honestly, I'm not too upset about this if I'm a Commanders fan. You know, I think Jaden Daniels will be very solid. He could definitely win Rookie of the Year. You know, you can make a case for him. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. But now moving on to the team that I think will get second in this division, and I thought about this for a while. I really did. You know, you could go back and forth between the Cowboys and Eagles. I feel like that's what they do even. They just take turns who's going to win the division this year. Last year, the Cowboys won. I don't know if I like this. I have them. Well, I'm not going to say what I have, but I do have the Eagles finishing second, and I could definitely see the Eagles finishing first here. You know, they lose Jason Kelsey, so how's that going to affect the team offensively and offensive line-wise? I think the offensive line declined a little bit, but they bring in Saquon Barkley. Devontae Smith's only going to, you know, improve his game. I think Jalen Hurts, same thing. A.J. Brown even, same thing. They just brought in Jahan Dotson, still got Dallas Goedert, and the defense is still very solid. Um, yeah, I mean, they lose Kevin Byard to the Bears, but I do worry about this Eagles secondary. I will say maybe this makes me feel a little bit better about having them second, just because their secondary is just very weak. It's a young secondary now. I know they have Cooper DeJean. They have Reed Blankenship. I mean, it's it's not a great secondary. D line wise, it's solid. Defensively, they're nothing special though. That's kind of what concerns me about the Eagles. I think they're about average defensively, but I think offensively they have one of the best offenses in the league. So starting off with the schedule, they got two very tough games to start. Luckily, they get both of them at home. I do think they'll win both of them, just because of the fact they're at home here. The Packers and Falcons, two teams I'm very high on this season. I think the Eagles beat both of them. I think they'll go to New Orleans and beat the Saints, but I think after this 3-week stretch, they're a little bit beat up maybe. At the Bucks, I think is going to be a loss heading into the bye. Coming out of the bye, I think they beat the Browns at home. I think they'll go to New York and beat the Giants, and I think they'll go to Cincy and beat the Bengals. That's another very tough game. The Eagles have a pretty tough schedule. I think they'll beat the Jags at home. I think at the Cowboys, that's going to be a loss. I think they'll split with the Cowboys this year. Little spoiler, I guess you could say. But yeah, at the Cowboys, I feel like the Eagles and Cowboys always split in the regular season. I think they'll beat the Commanders at home. At the Rams, that's going to be a tough game. I think, with the fact that they have two division games before this, so I think the Rams on the road, that's a tough game to win. I think that the Rams get it done, and I think at the Ravens they also lose. This is a pretty tough 4-game set here. At the Rams, at the Ravens, back-to-back weeks. That's a tough little 2-game period. But I think closing out the season, I think they'll beat the Panthers. I think they'll beat the Steelers at home. I think they lose to the Commanders, just because the Commanders always give them troubles for some reason. But I think they beat the Cowboys and they beat the Giants, finishing with a 12-5 record and second in this division. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking for the Eagles. Could definitely win this division. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But the team I have winning the division is the Cowboys. And the reason I second guess myself so much on the Cowboys is no more Tony Pollard. So how does that affect the team? I know he wasn't much of a weapon last year, so they really just moved on from him. I think the thing that gives the Cowboys a little bit of an edge over the Eagles is the defense. They have one of the best defenses in the league, led by Micah Parsons. They got Trayvon Diggs. I mean, Micah Parsons is arguably one of the best players in the league. I think he is. He's definitely top 10 in the league, in my opinion. Just as a player, he might even be top 5. Arguably, he's top 3. I mean, he is that good of a player, and they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. CeeDee Lamb, arguably the best receiver in the league. Dak Prescott's still doing his thing. They got guys. But yeah, I think they're going to be close with the Eagles once again. I feel like these teams are always just neck and neck fighting for this division until the very last week. But I do think the Cowboys come out on top. But looking at the schedule, I think week 1 at the Browns, that's going to be a win. Tough game, but I think they'll win. Home against the Saints, I think that'll be a win. I think they beat the Ravens at home. If this was in Baltimore, I'd take the Ravens. But I think the fact that this is going to be a great game. Two defensive teams. I mean, this is very evenly matched. I think the Cowboys just get it because they're at home. At the Giants, I think they'll win. At the Steelers, I do think that will be a loss. Just feel like physical-wise, they match up pretty well with them. But I do worry about the Steelers just because of their quarterback play. Russell Wilson and Fields haven't looked great in the preseason. But nonetheless, I think they'll win that game. I think the Cowboys win Week 6, though, against the Lions at home. Coming out of the bye, they got two very tough games here. I think they lose both on the road, both against teams that I think will, spoiler, win their division. Um, I already said I think the Falcons will win. I don't think it's much surprise. I think the Niners will win their division. This is a brutal schedule. I mean, the second half is really not that easy. This is one of the toughest schedules I've seen, if I'm being honest. But moving on, I think home against the Texans. I don't know. I think they'll beat the Eagles at home. This 4 game stretch is just brutal. I mean, this 5 game stretch, you can throw in the Lions game. This is brutal. I think they'll beat the Eagles at home, but I do think the Texans get it done. I think they go in there. C.J. Stroud has a massive game. I think the Texans beat them. I think at the Commanders, I think they'll win. I think home against the Giants, they win. I think home against the Bengals, they win. Just because they're not going to lose to every good team they play. I mean, I have them beating the Ravens, the Lions, the Eagles. So I feel like it's pretty even. I think they'll beat the Bengals at home. I think at the Panthers, that should be an easy win. I think home against the Bucks, they'll have no problems there. At the Eagles is going to be a loss just because I don't think they sweep the Eagles. But I think they close out the year with a win over the Commanders in Week 18, putting them at 12-5, so same record as the Eagles. I think both these teams will be playoff teams. I think the Cowboys get the 2 seed in the NFC, and I think the Eagles get the 5 seed. So that's just looking at the seeding. We'll have a playoff prediction video here once we're done with all the divisions. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the NFC East prediction and preview video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you go down there, leave a like on it. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you agree, what you disagree. I love to debate in the comments below. If you're new around here, we do college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, MLB. If you're interested in any of that, subscribe, turn on the noties. Links in the description. Twitch, TikTok, X, Discord. Follow those, join those, whatever you like to do. But thank you so much for watching. Check out the other. We've done all 4 of the AFC divisions. Make sure you check those out. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the NFC North preview video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.